How do you not quit at that point?
Well,
Because you could have.
I had just bought a house. I had expenses. It was tough financially for me to do this. And then, I decided, okay, I'm just going to, I'm done with like being in quant finance. I want to do something different, but I don't know about crypto. And then I moved to the West Coast and I started working on a self-driving car. But I said, like, look, I'm still going to have my pet project. It's 2016, and several things happen. The DAO hack. So the DAO raises $50 million, sorry,
right,
on Ethereum, and a few weeks after, they get hacked. And people point to problems with smart contract verification and risk in smart contracts. Ethereum hard forks. People start talking about governance. And at this point, people unearth, a paper that's almost 2 years old, the Tezos paper, which talks about smart contract security, which talks about governance, which talks about politics around core development teams, which are like happening in Bitcoin, and everyone is like, oh my God, this is super prescient. Like a lot of people think that the Tezos paper was written in reaction to the DAO event and the DAO fork, but no, it was written way before it.
Wow.
So all of a sudden, there's a flurry of interest into Tezos. People are interested in it. But I'm loving my job I'm loving what I'm doing on self-driving cars.
So what?
And it's still a pet project. And so I was like, okay, I wanted to see the light of day. I wanted to launch. I don't have time to do it. So what I thought is like, look, Ethereum launched with a Swiss foundation. They had a Swiss foundation. Swiss foundation raised some money, launched the chain, and then they've been funding development. They've been funding like continuing development and this type of things. Let's just do the same model, except I'm not going to move to Switzerland. I don't have time to do this. Again, I want to put it out there. So I meet with lawyers in Switzerland. I meet with business people in Zug, and it's like, yeah, okay, you know what? We'll create a foundation. We enter into commercial agreements. We're going to raise some money. We'll buy out your IP, and then and then it can run. And that's perfect for me. It's like, okay, maybe I'll make a bit of money. I'll have a nice calling card. This happened, and I keep working on what I'm working out. And that's 2000. That's mid 2016.
16.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Then the market starts heating up, and hype around Tezos starts like really, really rising. People are really very, very excited about it. And one thing that's important, it's like unlike a lot of projects at the time who were just like, they would just write a white paper and say, this is what we plan to do. We're going to raise a bunch of money to do it. The fundraiser for Tezos was not about building the product, because the product was there. We had testnets running. I think back in February of 2017. So we had a working product. We had a thing there, but it was proof of stake. And in proof of stake, you cannot bootstrap your network in the same way you can with proof of work. So in proof of work, you can just launch with nothing, and then the coins are just going to be created by the miners and go to the miners. But you can't do that with proof of stake. You need to have a decentralized base of ownership from day one. So how do you do that? And you could do an airdrop. You could say like, well, everyone who owns Bitcoin now owns this thing. Problem is that people don't necessarily care. You just send them this. Are they going to claim it? Are they not going to? Are they not going to claim it? And it's also like, why? You have a surplus, so you might as well do something with it. And so this idea was like, look, you all contribute to this Swiss foundation, who is going to do nice things like it can hold a trademark, it can do software development, it can do research, all type of activities. And then when the chain launches, the first block will have basically a reward for everyone who contributed to this project.
Right.
That's a model.
And that's why you moved forward then with that ICO. It wasn't like you said, like a lot of companies that were doing it to raise money to launch the tech. You had the tech, and you thought proof of stake is based on more people having a stake. So it ticked a bunch of boxes for you. Well,
the raising money is a side effect. Is basically a side effect of launching with a proof of stake block, and which is nice. I'm not trying to say like, like the money doesn't matter at all. Of course, it's fantastic if you have like if there's a windfall out of this, and you can pay for development and you can pay for all of things. But it comes second in the story.
Yeah. And I'm wondering when you realized that you were going to do the ICO and it was going to potentially be that big. What were those moments like for you? I guess we're creeping into 17 now, and then 18 when you did yours. I guess the ICO market's heating up in general, in a crazy way.
And the numbers that we think this foundation is going to raise go from like maybe 5 million, 10, 20, and then comes July, and they raised 232.
Yeah, July 18. Right.
July 1st to July, July 2017.
2017, okay, right.
Yeah, and July 1st to July 13th.
That was for you. You guys raised.
So the foundation raised.
The foundation
the thing is,
right.
I was not part of this foundation at all.
Right.
I had a commercial relationship with them.
Okay.
But and it might seem like a detail now, but it's going to come very important in 2018.
Yes. So they went and did that raise, and again, like you said, it started off small, and pretty soon, it became apparent how big it was going to be, because everything was warming up and heating up the ICO market. People were looking, and when you can raise, you raise.
Yeah, and so the interesting thing, the governance system for this foundation was perfectly appropriate for $5 million. It was absolutely not appropriate for $232 million.
Explain that.
Well, the tricky part with a non-profit like this is non-profits in Switzerland do not have shareholders, right? And non-profits in most other places have shareholders. They're owned by people. Foundations in Switzerland are not owned by anyone. They have a council, and they're accountable to the foundation authority in Switzerland. But that's the only party that they're accountable to. Cool. So it creates basically a governance problem, because foundation authority in Switzerland is not going to go and intervene into every foundation and verify that they're fulfilling the purpose on a daily basis. They pay attention to it, right? But they're not going to be diligently every day checking that the foundation are doing their job. And so the character and the character, I would say, and the motivations of the people who are on the board becomes extremely important to do the right thing. Now, if you have $5 million and you have 3 people who reasonably want the product to be successful, maybe they make the right decision. It's fine. If you have $232 million, it gets to people's head, and then you can get very, very different results. And you need different type of people.
And this is what you experienced in 2018.
Yeah, not enough. There were not enough procedures on the board for around the governance of the board. The board only had 3 people, and it didn't have experienced enough members for the council.